right, just starting off on joystick, we've got the twin V8 300s on this particular boat. We're full of fuel. It's early in the morning, very calm, absolutely beautiful conditions, I might add. And I hope you appreciate these backgrounds we have got for you today. We are in the Finnish archipelago, just in the region of Turku. A couple of hours drive, I think it was west of Helsinki, and this place is absolutely beautiful. We've got an interesting history too, and lots of shipbuilding in this area. They've got a real history with the Swedish, the Russians, and the Finnish, all coming through here, I guess owning it at one point in time. And there's even, we might even talk about this at the end of the video, there's a bit of a secret James Bond sort of spy island just over the other side of the bay here, which we might have to check out for you, which it has been in the news. Some interesting stuff was going on with a Russian oligarch that used to own the place, which is kind of cool. I love stories like that. But anyway, we're here to test this boat, and we'll keep focusing on that. And what we'll do, we'll just get her straight up to speed. I have got the zip wakes on this one, but it is worth adding that you are going to have a trim tab option coming very soon to these Sachs doors. And I like that because I'm not a big fan of zip wakes on smaller, lighter boats because their reaction time is a little bit slow, and I actually can feel boats, smaller, lighter boats, having a tendency to lean one way or the other, whereas with regards to a trim tab, the control is much more direct and simple. Okay, lots of rocks around here, lots of navigation to do, so I'm going to be leaving the zip wakes on auto, doing manual trim with the engines, and talking to you about the fuel flow and speed returns. Just getting up to 21 knots SOG right now. I've got a RPM of 3,800 RPM, and we'll just keep cruising out in this one direction into the open and clear water, and start talking about fuel flow. So at 3,800 RPM, we've got a speed return of 29 knots and 40 litres an hour per motor. I might just slow that down a tad because I did do a little bit slower before, and I want to give you those numbers because at 3,300 RPM or thereabouts, we got a speed return of 24 knots and call it 31 litres a side consumption. But I'm just going to increase that back up to 3,800 and now 4,000 RPM. And what we'll do, we'll start a gradual turn out to starboard pretty soon. I'm just going to make sure I'm all clear of the island. And let's get the boat turning. Okay, so gradual turn, 30 knots. The boat's level. I have no desire to stand up. This is actually a very comfortable helm position. Visibility is fantastic. I've actually opened the roof for this part of the drive. Now let's hook it in a little bit more. Okay, responding nicely. She feels like a bigger boat. I'm gonna hook that through. And now let's keep coming around at 30 knots. 30 knots feels like the happy cruise speed at the moment. Between 4,000 and 4,300 RPM coming around to port. Fuel consumption sitting at around the 50 to 55 litres. We're going to do wide open throttle a little bit later, and we will be doing some parking and coming back around to starboard. Increasing my speed, 4,300 RPM. Feeling good. So directional stability is nice and easy. Just playing with the trim there a little bit, overriding the active trim. So she likes a little bit more trim up at 4,300 RPM, coming through at 36 knots. Consuming about 50 litres a side with that trim. Coming around this beautiful little island here. And I'm going to start increasing my speed as we come around, and we'll do another wide open throttle, or we will do a wide open throttle as we proceed through. Banking in at 36 knots. This is an easy, comfortable, relaxing boat to drive because your workload is not high, your visibility is fantastic, noise levels ultra low. Actually, that's a point. Noise levels are really, really low. I can hear more of the water going underneath the hull than the engines right now. Increasing my speed. 4,700, 4,800, coming through 80 litres consumption per motor. And I see 40 knots. I'm gonna just get clear on the navigation. All clear, accelerating. This is the maximum horsepower we have optioned on this boat. You can get twin 250s. We are running the twin 300 V8s. I'm seeing 47 knots, 90 litres per side, 48 knots and climbing. A little bit more trim up on the motors. You can feel it lighten up a little bit at the front, but I'm seeing a steady 48. Directional stability, it's actually rock solid. So very controllable, safe at 48 knots. I'm gonna just bank it into a turn at that speed. Yeah, this is safe. This is safe. I got no problems doing that at full speed. Very, very interesting. Okay, from here, we're gonna cut straight over to the beautiful little dock that we started at, and we shall do some parking demonstrations and see how maneuverable she is at slow speed. All right, here we are back at this beautiful Finnish summer house. I tell you what, the people around here have got good style when it comes to the architecture. We've been cruising for about half an hour this morning past so many beautiful islands, but just look at how this guy's styled his little house here in the boat dock. I love it. I think that is so cool. So we have called and asked for permission. I'm just going to do some little touch and goes, and we'll practice the maneuverability of the boat inside this dock, just to give you a reference point on how maneuverable she is and what you can do with this boat. Because remember, having the two big side opening doors, it's a major difference compared to the 320 GTC, which you may have already seen has featured on my channel. And obviously, for those of you wanting to solo boat a little bit more and maneuver in and out of places like this, you may find this design a little bit more friendly for that purpose. So I'm going to do this on engines first, and then we're going to slide away on joystick. So I'm just doing the transverse thrust, and compared to the prototype that has already been on my channel, there has been a bunch of minor changes, I think from engine positioning, hull shape, and also structural changes within the vessel, which is what you do after building a prototype. So that's why I didn't film a sea trial on the Nice video. Sorry, not Nice, Cannes, Nice. Sometimes I get confused with all these places I'm going to. And we left it for this opportunity because we knew it would be a different boat. Okay, so I'm just gonna side slip her in. So I've got my wheel down to starboard, and I'm just using the bow thruster. This boat's got some fenders, or not boat, this dock has some fenders on the side. See how I can essentially line this up right where I want it to be, and I've still got control using my left hand. Look at that, I can hang on to the dock, and I've got all the time in the world to go aft because I've got the fender locker, which is perfect for 4 fenders, and then all the boat's lines on the starboard aft side, because on the port aft side we have got the Barbie station. So it seems logical whenever possible to bring the boat in alongside on starboard. However, it's not a problem to bring it in alongside on port, because we've also got the port side opening door. So that's really easy. My visibility all around is perfect. I can see the motors. So from a seated position, I can see both motors. So if you're ever concerned which way your engines are facing, that's not a problem. Now let's side slip the boat out to port using joystick and see how responsive the joystick is. Just doing a little bit of pressure there. Really easy. So just looking at the motors, there is a good spacing between the two. So I'm actually getting a decent amount of traction now with my sideways slip. And then I can just stop the boat. Wonderful. I obviously have the sky hook available to me. That's a great feature Again, if you're solo operating, also if you're in a tidal zone and you just want to stop next to your marina and go and collect the fenders, set up the lines, do whatever you need to do, prepare the boat, that will hold you in position. What I would suggest to you though, if you are in a windy or tide affected zone and you want to go and do something, stick the motors into the wind or into the tide, and then you will actually have an easier time of activating the skyhook. If you stick the bow into the wind and then activate the skyhook, it's gonna work really, really hard, and it'll be potentially less efficient for you. So that was a piece of cake. Obviously in Finland here, we've got a lot of protection, so we don't actually have any tide or waves to worry about right now, but you get a feel for these things. I think if you were coming from a smaller adventure style boat, or even if you've driven the 320, one of the takeaways from this boat is you do actually notice the extra weight. Like, it does feel like a more considerable vessel, so she reacts a little bit more slow and steady as opposed to the lighter boats. Definitely if you've come from the 270, and it is actually still noticeable if you're coming from the 320, the momentum is a little bit more graceful. I guess that's the best way to put it. Very good. Okay, we need to go and play with the anchor next, so we'll find somewhere to do that and then take you along for the ride. So I release the safety in the bow first, and then you press windlass power here, and then you got anchor up and anchor down. But just go forward and have a look. I'm going to start releasing the anchor because it's a unique bow roller system on this boat. So I'm going to start releasing it now. So hopefully that's obvious, but there's actually a gas strut inside the anchor well just here. It's quite a strong system, and actually pass me the camera, I'll show you from the inside. And the design is simple enough in that it takes the chain from the bottom there, the windlass is located here, and then it just sends it around these, essentially they're rollers, and those are the two gas struts which then put pressure when you release the chain, and that's what sends the anchor down. So I will now raise it. I'll pass the camera back and you guys can see how she comes up. If it comes up the wrong way, that's a little bit of a drama. So what I would do is, if I was worried about the anchor coming up in the wrong direction, I would just put the boat in reverse about a knot, which will resolve that issue. Here we go. And it's as simple as that. Put the safety back in place and you're ready to rock and roll. So trained killer dolphins, sharks with laser beams, and hunting attack dogs. Is that the James Bond story?
Yeah, I think that might be quite close to the truth.
Okay, so this island behind us, which is not far from where we were doing the shoot today, has a bit of a story to it. So Heike, tell us what you know.
Well, what I know as a common citizen is that it's well, can I say Russian-owned island?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, it's a Russian-owned island off the coast of Turku. It's a bit of a controversial island with some interesting infrastructure. Let's say for a leisure island or for a vacation island, it has quite an extensive network of piers and buildings and everything in it. So yeah, it's also the location of the island is quite close to some critical infrastructure. So it was actually raided back in 2018.
And what did they find? What helicopter pads, docks suitable for military boats?
Yeah, they found that. They found some cash and some interesting, some kind of papers and all kinds of stuff that maybe point to something else than just being vacation islands.
That's freaking awesome. I think that is so... Who doesn't want to be James Bond?
Yeah, yeah,
and have
it
an
has
island
the James Bond vibe. It's a huge island.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful island. Beautiful, beautiful island.
So it's basically, potentially, allegedly, a military base disguised as a pleasure island.
Yeah, it's allegedly, let's say it like that. Yeah, there's no real information for anyone, but let's just say that looking at maybe the drone footage, everyone can make up their own mind about it.
I think that's so cool. Maybe one day we can turn it into a Dan's Boat Life testing base.
That would be great.
With Bond girls.
Yeah, with those.
All right, if you know any more about the story, jump in the comments. I love this sort of stuff. Thanks, mate.
You're welcome.
Okay, I hope that was of value to you, ladies and gents. What sort of person should be looking at a boat like this? Well, I think we're casting a pretty wide net, to be fair. But in terms of the experience level, you could be a beginner and still get away with owning a boat like this. It's quite a forgiving design with this fender all the way around, with the walk around decks, with the access to the decks from both sliding doors, provided that you do take some training and drive the boat sensibly. You could still be a beginner powerboat operator and own a 340, in my opinion. And if you are wanting to drive to an advanced level, you're going to have a lot of fun too, because she'll do 48 knots like we saw today. So yeah, casting a wide net, definitely coastal capable with this hull design. So I wouldn't be afraid to take this boat offshore and beat up a few waves, particularly with the twin engine redundancy. So yeah, I'm a big fan. This is a winner. What should you compare this boat with? I think it's pretty clear if you're also an Axopar fan, you could put this one in the same sort of sphere, so to speak. It's, in terms of the layout, this is completely different. This is much more of a boat that you would stay on board, but the driving performance and the feel, if you were looking at the 29 or the 37 Axopar, this is somewhere in the middle, so you are going to see a lot of value. Equally, some of the Nimbuses and the Quakin 35, all of those boats sit there in that similar category. I'm going to say this one, from a features perspective, is out on her own, because she does so much more with things that open and shut and lifestyle or livability. She is a little bit unique. But from a driving aspect, you are going to see some similarities on all of those other boats. And feel free to jump on Monect and ask me if you think of another boat, or if you're looking at something else and you want my thoughts or opinions on how that one compares. So yeah, I hope that was useful. I'm going to chuck up some of the competing boats on the screen right now for you to do your own homework, because remember, it's about your boat life, not mine. And just use these videos as a tool. Use them to do your research, watch them before you go and meet the dealer or you go to the boat show, and hopefully with that information, you'll be armed with what you need to know, and then you can be prepared to ask the dealers with the questions that are relevant to you. Love you lots, guys. See you in the next one. Cheers.